Travis, welcome to the Live Large podcast. You want to introduce yourself to everybody listening?
Sure. What's up, guys? Good to see you guys. My name is Travis Rogers. The USPA Maryland and Delaware chairman. Been with Live Large for three years now. Two, 3 years now. Yeah, about there. Been a minute. Compete 198. I guess equipped now. Moving into equipped anyway. Was classic raw, but now moving into the equipped field. So in about 2 weeks.
So what were your best raw lifts?
My best raw lifts, think in comp was a 670 squat and sleeves, 744 in wraps, 463 bench, and I want to say like 738 dead.
At 198?
Yeah. So the last one I put up before surgery was 1940 in January in the USPA. So, and it's still standing right now, I think, in like the top 5 for this year.
Now, most importantly, let's get into why you're transitioning to
Yeah.
We basically, blew off both your fucking legs and
pretty much.
Now you're
as close to losing them as possible without literally detaching them. So it was a bilateral quad rupture. One way worse than the other. They're both considered full tears. But the left one ended up looking like crab meat / shredded chicken. He literally said it looked like a grenade went off inside my leg. And then the other one was a full rupture and tear, but it stayed in the sleeve. So there was a little bit more of that one to anchor back down into the bone than the other one. So like if you look at my quads like next to each other, like where your little chicken nuggets are, mine's like half a nugget. And it's not because I'm weaker on that side. It's just literally missing now. So it was like all that was left to tie back down to the bone.
So was the gear something you wanted to do before that? Or was it something where it's like, all right, cool, I'll, kind of ease myself back in and, give my body a little bit of assistance? Or was it something you just wanted to do anyways?
I was starting to dabble. I know I had a couple people talk to me. I think I just bought my first bench shirt like right before it happened. So I might've gotten it like one time before it happened, but I was already in briefs. So I started dabbling in some single ply briefs. I really wasn't looking for multi. I got more into the single ply. And a lot to do with that was Micah Moreno and Amber Hansen, 2 really close friends of mine, 2 amazing athletes that I admire and talk to and look up and value their opinion. But for me, like looking at both of those guys and just being very tight with them, I really admire the fact that like they were strong and good no matter what you put them in, whether it was raw, whether it was in wraps, like they could jump into gear and like their, variables between them. They could just jump into anything at any time. Like, oh, this week, I'll hop into a single ply suit and just like bang some insane number. Like they weren't even out of practice. And I thought that was the coolest thing I'd ever seen. And so I was like, you know what? Like I've done 7 years raw. Like let's try a little something different. And then, of course, like 2-3 weeks later, I blew both my legs off.
Now, does the gear give you like a little bit more confidence jumping back into like heavy weights, or is it more stressful because you're overloading the weights, that you were handling raw? Like it's you're moving more weight, but I guess with like a little bit of, additional support, so is that, kind of more or less confidence with that?
No matter what for the squat, like I'm terrified every time. Like, I could be wearing 2-ply briefs for like 135 and I'm like, oh God, like every squat session is terrifying. Like you can never like unhear that sound. Like once you hear the pops, like it's always in your head, like it never goes away. So every session is pretty stressful as far as squats go. I've definitely got my like confidence back, and I think gear had a lot to do with that. It also kind of like made me change how I squat, not only in the gear, but also just because my legs literally don't work like that anymore. Like, so right now, this is actually my first meet coming up where I actually have to go to a head judge and be like, hey, you want to see what negative degree extension looks like? So one of my knees doesn't lock out all the way. So like, this is the first time I've actually had like a medical, like needed to show a judge. Because I think my left it was -7. Now it's about -5. It's gotten a little better with the scar tissue. And that's the one that's like kind of missing part of the bottom. But I would say I was always a really, really narrow squatter. and I always pulled conventional and was narrow, and the distance between my feet were about the same no matter the movement. So I had a really good carryover. Like most meets and wraps, I was squatting exactly what I was deadlifting. So it was very comparable within like the 730s for both of them. And then when I got hurt and had to kind of reevaluate, they wanted me to start shifting my weight back more into my hips and my glutes. So of course, like I'm nowhere near like a traditional like multi-ply squat, like super duper wide and like sinking straight back. I've kind of navigated those waters and kind of made it my own. And I've had a lot of people shit talking for that reason, which I'm sure we'll get into. But just because I'm not following like traditional mold of stuff, but this is easily like a foot wider than I was ever squatting raw and wraps.
And it seemed like your transition into it after the injury, and your numbers were climbing real fast. It was like not long after your injury, I saw you deadlifting 700 again.
Yeah, I think I just kind of went through a couple of those because I had a lot of people asking that kind of tuned in late as far as like the more of the like comeback side of it. I think my first 700 was back like 12 weeks post-op. So it was like between 12 and 14.
What did your doctor say?
So my surgeon was awesome. He was a really cool guy. What was his name? Scott Gilman. Really cool guy. So they had a guy that was like their sports trauma guy that I would have had as my surgeon, but I guess they divide them. So he said if I had torn one quad, I would have been with this surgeon. But since I had like, they labeled it more as like extreme trauma, I had to go with him. So, and it was funny because they both worked in the same office, but the other guy trains with like BFR bands and stuff like I do now. So he was like watching me train and he was like, man, like if you would end up with the sports guy, like he totally relates to all the stuff you're doing for like rehab and a lot of the stuff you've been paying attention to. So it's just kind of a small world. But Gelman was like, you're probably gonna walk funny for the rest of your life. You're not gonna competitively squat again. Like you might be able to do like push pull if you're lucky. You might do bench only. And I was like, nah, dude, like I'm gonna compete again. And then like I want to say like maybe 10 weeks later, I pulled my first like 500, and then we kind of knew we're like, all right, so like there's 5. Like I know I'm gonna start squatting again with the bar on my back. I had like my PT, who I ended up becoming really, really close friends with. He actually trains at my gym now that I own in Salisbury, and he's coming out to the meet in 2 weeks. So it's like a crazy big party of like not only like the people from my team and like at the gym, but like people who literally like pieced me back together over the last couple of months. So probably be a lot of happy tears, a lot of wild moments from that meet. So I'm really excited. But my surgeon was like, dude, unless it's an emergency, don't call me. He was like, everything I've told you you're not going to do, you were just like, yeah. And then you do it like 2 weeks later. So he just totally was in awe. He was like, when you die, you need to donate your body to science. They need to bottle whatever you got and give it to some people. So it was kind of cool to hear, but medically, definitely not supposed to be. Not that I can't like physically, but he said like medical history wise, like it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah,
like I'm not supposed to be able to do that stuff.
Quick.
Yeah. He said it's got to be like a record. Like nobody should be able to do that.
Yeah, you see football players get injured, and it's a whole year before they do anything again.
Yeah.
Football players drug tested. So
yeah. I will say Chris Duffin and Kabuki have been very, very awesome to me. Chris was not supplying me, but like giving me his own detailed notes of like all the protocols he was running for like his 1,000-pound squats. So like all the BPC, the TB, like all that stuff, like he was running me his own special written protocols. Like, so he guinea pigged with me pretty hard, and obviously had really good results. Like, he actually just published the article with me in it. Like I think he publishes it to his like Duffin log, like on his own personal blog and stuff. So because obviously some of the other stuff is in the gray area. So
now you have a whole bunch of shit going on. So you got your gym, you're a teacher.
Yeah.
You do all sorts of art stuff. I mean, you're working on a whole bunch of stuff. Just lay it all out there. Give us the full rundown. Everything you're doing.
So I'm really busy all the time.
From what you give the most shit about to the least. Just
Okay, most shit to least shit. Okay. Well, I gotta say the most shit is probably like my actual like real job, because obviously I think I've been a school teacher. This is year number 8 or 9 for me, so I'm definitely considered like a veteran now. I teach English 10 and English 12, so I have 10th graders and seniors. Right now it's college app week, so everyone's getting ready to apply for like waves college fees, doing their personal essays, like all that kind of stuff to apply and get scholarships. I will say, like, definitely after COVID, and like we were kind of talking about, me and Kevin were kind of talking about this before we started recording, just like being on Zoom so much and like becoming an expert with all like the online BS. It's definitely affected the way school runs. They push a lot more online stuff now, which, a lot of especially the English teachers aren't happy about, because like, you're raised in a decade full of like, we're still used to the classics, man. We're still thumbing through paperbacks. Like we love that stuff, and the kids hate this stuff. So it's like, it's definitely a challenge. Especially with like all the mainstream media and stuff put out in front of them so much. So like, it's a lot harder nowadays, I would say, to like get kids to be more imaginative. So like when we do personal essays and stories and stuff like that, like it's like pulling teeth most of the time, just because like everything's so presented in front of them that like they don't have to use their imagination. They don't have to make up stuff. It's already there for them. So definitely a little more challenging, but that's very, very high on my list of shit I give about, especially considering teaching with state benefits was awesome for surgery. Won't lie about that. My new knees and my anchors are like pretty nice car, worth pretty about a pretty much nice car. But I only ended up paying like 3 grand out of pocket, so
it's
it
like
could have been like
just
upwards
meet
of
the
like 45.
taxpayers.
Do what?
Thanks, taxpayers, for this next
Yeah,
meeting. Here he is.
teaching the children and saving my knees. It's been great.
Now, how do you
Um,
fit in with the rest of the teachers? You're not exactly like your conventional what you
no, no.
expect with
Um,
a high school teacher, but
so not only am I not your conventional teacher, I'm also now the only man in our English department. So it's me and all female English teachers. It's been this way for probably, I want to say, going on 3 years now. So obviously, if it wasn't easy to spot me out before, it's really easy now. Just the only guy up there that's the only guy and also covered in tattoos. Super easy to identify. And my room's always scalding hot, so the kids always know. Like it's the guy with shorts, because I wear shorts all year round because my room's so hot. Like nobody wants to sweat and teach Shakespeare at the same time, but it's become like a thing. But I get asked all the time, like we'll do parent meetings and like, like staff days and PD days and stuff. And they're like, "Oh, you're like the new gym teacher." I'm like, "Nah, I've been teaching teaching English for like 8 years now." They're like, "What?" And I'm like, "Yeah, master's in British literature." And they're like, "In British literature?" I'm like, "Yeah."
it's like, no, you're not the actual teacher, right? Like you're like the assistant guy.
Yeah, you're like the long-term
Like
sub. I'm like, "No, no, I'm in here." So I was like, so if you want to work out or you want to talk about like the dark ages, I totally got you on either one of those. So um it's pretty fun. It adds some variance to the day.
Well, Nick and I were joking earlier. It's like, what do you say to the parents when you got to pull them in? You're like, yeah, your kid's bad, and they look at you. You're like,
You're like, yo, I'm aware that I look like a felon, but your kid
Yeah.
sucks.
Yeah.
Like I'm sorry. Like I'm the good guy. Like your kid is bad. Like this is
Yeah.
they're like,
you
coming
got
from
But I
you,
mean,
what the fuck are you talking about?
it's a different age though. Like they know, like, and I teach at a high need school district, so it's like 90% free breakfast, free lunch, very high poverty rate. Of course, and I own the Children's Foundation, and we give back to like our big things now, especially in the winter. Besides winter clothing, is food pantry. So because of like the housing and stuff like that, a lot of kids need extra food when school's not in session. So we try to donate before like the breaks happen, so the kids can like go somewhere and like get meals and stuff like that. And we run meal trucks in the summer. But like with that kind of stuff, as far as like the parents go, man, it's hard, man. It's really hard. Like, cause like you wanna, like a lot of the kids, it's not their fault. And I think that's one of the hardest things to understand. And like one of my first things I learned as like a younger teacher, it was like it's heartbreaking, because like you learn like no matter how hard you try and how close you get with your kids, like dude, you really can't save them all. And it sucks. It sucks really bad. But like you can try, and like me being younger, I'm 32. working out, being covered in tattoos, like being an artist. Like a lot of the kids vibe with that really well. So like I'm pretty close with a lot of my kids. Like they like me. I'm like the cool teacher. So I mean that definitely helps as far as like being in a rougher school district. I don't get as much shit as a lot of the other teachers. Some of the kids have seen me on the wrestling mats before too, so they know if push came to shove, I could fold you like a pretzel. So a lot of them don't mess with me on that either. But most of the kids, besides for like some attitude, like I don't get near as much hard time as some of the other teachers.
Now, with you, do you have any trouble with the parents? Because I'm sure a lot of the times with kids in a district like that, you're meeting with the parents, and like immediately exactly why this kid has problems. It's like, oh, your parents are kind of dumbasses, so you know you kind of weren't in an advantageous position growing up.
Yeah, yeah. When I can get parent responses, that's one of the, and I know I see Kevin shaking his head like he knows how that is. Like
No,
that's part of the
same deal, yeah.
yeah, it's part of the problem is like the unresponsiveness of that. Then you learn like, oh, okay, well, this is why this is the way it is because you don't have anybody, and then you come, you find your kids that are like they need attention, and they'll find it no matter if it's positive or negative. Like if
Right.
I'm paying attention to them, whether it's being very flustered and mad at them and trying to get them to do work, or I'm saying, hey man, I really like your answer here. You're doing a great job on your work. Like positive or negative reinforcement, it's reinforcement and it's attention. And sometimes that's something they don't have. So like they'll get it any way they can.
Mm-hmm.
So the parents are the parents that do show up definitely care. I've become very close with some of the parents over the years. Like I know I would have a lot to go to bat for me if ever something ever went down. Watch their kids at sports games. I used to run the powerlifting team before we had the budget cut and all that kind of stuff. So it just really depends on the situation and the kid, honestly.
All right, now after teaching, what's next? What's next on your list?
So teaching, as soon as the bell rings at 2:45, I dip out. I get here about 3:15. Grab something to eat, and then unlock the doors here at the gym at 4. So then we go from 4 to 9 here at the Bear Cave. It's about 10 minutes from Salisbury University, the college over here. It's about a minute from the mall. So we have a pretty good spot.
Quick gym plug, address, social. You got
Okay. Yeah. See, look, you're so much better salesman than me. I just keep it under the radar, man. Like I'm one of those people like I'd love to have you here. And if you want to be here, you're more than welcome to be here. But like I definitely don't go out of my way to be like, you need to come to this gym. You know what I mean? And I think that at the same time it's attracted a really good community of people because the people we do have here like take care of each other. It's very close knit. Everybody knows each other. Like it's literally a team, man. And I know a lot of people have seen that in my videos of how tight me and a lot of the guys are like every Sunday, and like it's nice, man. One of the reasons we started this place was to avoid like the public gym riffraff and all the bullshit, and train how we wanted to train and have fun and turn up and do it up. But the gym 620 West Naylor Mill in Salisbury, Maryland, about 1 minute from the mall, right around the corner from the Lowe's across the train tracks. It's pretty cheap. I don't charge much. I should.
Dave, correct?
Yeah, the Bear Cave. Yep, the Bear Cave, and it's also linked in my Instagram profile. It's where we post all like the meat advertisements, and it's kind of the headquarters for Maryland and Delaware USPA.
So is it fully private or has it become more of a public gym? Because I think when you first opened, it was more you weren't trying to promote it. It was kind of members.
We're still listed as a private sports facility. We definitely have a lot more members now. We have about 50 members that rotate in and out. But I would say it's still more private. We screen people like when they come, we let everybody know once they sign the waiver, like, hey, we want to make sure this is a good fit for you, but we also want to make sure it's a good fit for everybody here. Right. So like, we try to feel people out. We've had a couple people come and go. I say come and go, that we've cut from the team, but it's just all about like, this is a place that people feel safe. This is a place people want to come. So like, I do everything in my power to keep it that way. So,
Now,
and obviously
with the name being the Bear Cave, do you get any of the guys from like Kevin and Dan's DMs, thinking
the weird,
something different about the gym?
So,
or
we always joke. So,
Yeah, like looking for a good gay bar to go to tonight. Oh, let's go to the Bear Cave.
no, it's funny you said that. So, my friend Marv, I'm surprised she's not in here yet, like dancing through this video. But we always joke when she started coming here, she would be like, "Oh, we should, if we ever want to raise money and buy new equipment for the gym, we should start Bear Cave After Dark." And
Yeah.
like wink, wink, and like capitalize on that. And I was like, yeah. And then like we ran through this whole spiel of different ways we could raise money. One of our grand schemes, you'll appreciate this, kind of goes on with it. So, have you ever heard of Sniffer?
No.
Oh wow, you're gonna learn some stuff today. So, as a teacher, at the end of this, don't say I never taught you anything. Um, so Sniffer is where you can upload pictures of socks and underwear that have been used and sell them to people who want them.
So I mean, that
So
was kind of like a black market thing. So now
yes, very much.
some
So we always
smart
joke.
person just made the actual marketplace for that.
Yeah.
It's nice.
And so she was like, all those weird guys and stuff you get in your DMs, like, dude, we could do like a snapshot shot, like Polaroid, and print one and send it with like a pair of socks and stuff. She's like, you know how much money we could make? You could pay for the electric bills here. Like it would be no big deal at all. So I was like, you know what we should do? We should get a brand new monolift, right? And paint like a pinup girl in a pair of panties on it and call it the panty dropper, but only pay for it with Sniffer. So then when everyone would come to the gym and compete on it, they'd be like, oh, that mono's so sick. And we'd be like, yeah.
But then you could also, it's like, yo, here's training day. Here's actual videos of these socks being worn.
Yeah.
Here's a video. Look, I just squatted 800 pounds in this video. You think I wasn't sweating in those socks? Like, yeah.
Yo, these have a PR in them, and they are right. They are just for you.
I mean, at that point, you might as well work with Zone, and you guys could figure out some ammonia that smells like ball sweat. And
dude, we're probably getting close to it. We're releasing our new blend. We're releasing our new blend, Bear Down Steel Blood, in 2 days. So right before Halloween. And it's like the strongest one yet. I don't know how we possibly managed to do that after topping the gold, but I think that's the next way we're gonna have to go is ball sweat, because I don't know if we can make it any stronger. Now we're just gonna have to add flavors to it. So
there you go. Yeah, you go like, all right. So it's the salt plus it's, we put the aroma of 3-year never washed sleeves in it as well. It's like just start incorporating all of like the lifting smells that just ruin everyone's day. Yeah.
Dude, we're gonna have to, because like, of course, and I pass down like my stuff to guys. Not like, I mean, I take care of my stuff. It's not like real ratchetly like used stuff, smelly stuff. But like, I'll give some of the guys who are new, like a pair of my gently used wrist wraps and stuff. And we always joke, they're like, "Yo, does this have your sweat in it? Is this gonna make me bench more?" I'm like, I mean, I might have sweat some trend in it, so probably, but like, you might piss hot for a week. I don't know. But a lot of the guys seem to run that joke. But I imagine we can make quite a bit of money off of it.
You heard it here first.
That's the next on your list of things.
Yeah.
Yes.
All the stuff that you're doing. So
yeah.
All right. So you got teaching. You got the gym. Obviously, competing.
Yeah, and then so I'm a freelance artist on the side. I do graphic design for Barefoot. I do it for Zone, obviously paid and stuff like that. But then also, of course, like I'm real busy in the summers when my teacher summers off, and I'm really busy during Christmas. Like a lot of people commission me for paintings and things like that, and I'll mail them all in a frame and all like taped up and stuff. So I do all of the designs by hand for the charity. All the meat t-shirts I do by hand, and then I scan them. I digitally illustrate the color so it prints right, and then that's how we end up with all the, I'm sure you can see all the kinds of banners and graphic art behind me in this. So our whole gym looks like an art museum. So
we did that one t-shirt for you a few years back for the
the Yeti one.
Yeti one. Were you ever interested in getting into tattoos? Wasn't that a thing?
Yeah, so I actually worked at a shop when I was getting my master's degree, again in British literature. So I was working at a shop at the time, and that's how I kind of met Jess. She was dating one of the guys I was tattooing at the time, and I was dating the piercer at the shop. And then like later on, way down the road, when I was trying to get clean and stuff, we ran into each other at like a big tattooed people's wedding. And then she was like, "Who's that?" And I was all like cracked out and like 120 pounds soaking wet. Like I didn't even look like the same person, I looked like a skeleton in a tuxedo. And after that, she had like a big accident and got cleaned up. And I was still trying to get cleaned up. And then we were like, we should go on a date. And then she came to a bar like 3 days out of like an OD. It was a hot mess, man. And then we've been together ever since. She was like, "You should clean your shit up," and I was like, "Yeah, I probably should." So
Yes, I should. You should too. Let's
yeah,
do this together.
yeah. So then December for her and January for me will be 9 years each. So
Great.
That's much better than much better outcome than being, dead in a ditch somewhere, which is
yeah,
much,
that was
right?
definitely coming for me if
You either get your
that
shit
didn't
together or
happen.
you
That
end
was
up
for
dead.
sure.
Yeah.
That would have been for sure on the top of my things of that were gonna happen. So
Well, now you get to go try to, what are the goals for this meet? What's the
so again, like I was talking earlier, Amber and Micah really like kind of propelled me into this. And I always like the idea of being good at no matter what kind of equipment you're in. So my goal right now is the 1940 from January pre-surgery stands in the top 10 for this year. 6 months after that, or no, it's probably 8 months after that. But this meet on November 5th, Freaks Come Out at Night in Baltimore, will be 6 months almost on the dot post-op for me. So the goal is to go top 10 in multi and then have both of them stand in the same year with the surgery in it.
That's
So I thought that'd be pretty badass. So I want to do that. So we're looking at man, I don't want to jinx it, but I'm really hoping to squat like 730, which is pretty fucking stupid considering I was like not able to walk. So we're looking to do that. Bench, if all goes according to plan, my one wrist stays cool, I'm looking to shoot at 700, and then deadlift probably like 750. So I'm looking at like at least 21 plus,
Are you
and
using
I'm still doing 198.
you using one of those full blown like wild band shirts, or using a traditional bench shirt?
So unfortunately, not unfortunately, I really like Tiff and Rob. Tiff and Rob, shout out to F8 Customs. Tiff and Rob have been amazing to me. Two really awesome people. They've been doing all the alterations on all my poly equipment, single and multi, but also of course make the F8 like the big unlimited shirts that I've been using too. I was in an SDP, but when I bought it from my friend Jules, it fit me really, really well. I was probably like 195, and now I'm back up to my walking normal training weight at like 212. And unfortunately, it's just gotten way too smaller for me. And I haven't had a chance to get a size bigger yet because of all the backups with Inzer. So I mean, I think my buddy Mike Hedleski just ordered what was that shirt? It's the one that looks like an Evil Knievel shirt from Inzer. Oh, the Bolt with like the stars and the zigzags on it. He bought one of those. Dude, it was like a 5-month wait.
Jeez.
So I was like, there's no way I'm going to get in a traditional poly like that fits before the meet. So I'm going to roll with the F8 shirt this meet. And then the next one, I actually just won an eBay bid on a Titan Super Fury 3-ply that I'm going to be using.
Was that on eBay or Sniffer?
No, it's on eBay. Sniffer probably would cost me way more, to be honest with you. No, this was a good deal on eBay, not Sniffer. So.
Like this was an old Scott Mendelson shirt,
Yeah, dude, I actually saw one of those on Facebook Marketplace, not Scott Mendelson, but it was somebody else's shirt, and he was like, it's still got its sweat in it. And then actually someone else was selling the like the OG Super Katana, the Jimmy Cole bench, like the 1,000+ record in, like the single ply shirt. Yeah,
Yeah, I don't
and
know.
people would advertise it like that too. They were like, this is the shirt.
Yeah, I'm not sure if powerlifting memorabilia has quite that much fanfare to really bump up the price of that or not. It's still like used, right? Yeah, so
yeah, I mean heavily used too, like through a meet and everything. So yeah.
So how do you balance being a teacher, being in meet prep, being a meet director, owning a gym? How do you balance all that while also being in prep? Do you thrive on the stress of everything? Because being a teacher, you got a lesson plan that takes up how much of your day?
Yeah.
And then meet directing and all that other stuff. How do you balance that?
I think it's a little bit easier for teaching wise because I've been in it so long. I would say if I was in my first 3 years, it would still be a big struggle with that. But like, luckily, like even though the curriculum's changed for ELA, like a lot of the like standard classics are still around, or at least the base structure, and then implementing different like reads into it. So that hasn't been super hard with lesson plan wise, I would say. But I treat like all those things stacked on top of one another, just like my CNS system. I just burn it out, and then you don't have to worry about it being burnt out because it's already gone. So that's what I do. People are like, how do you deadlift 700 like every single week? I'm like, you just do it until it doesn't matter anymore, and then you're good to go. I don't know. That's probably like the worst thing to say ever. Like everyone's like, what's a deload?
You do that until you blow both your legs off, and then
just go to you blow your legs off, and then when they put them back on, keep going. Yeah,
but I think you kind of operate like that too.
Oh no,
and then you'll go drive it across the world.
Yeah, no, you literally you burn at both ends. It's
yes,
like you are literally just like out, and then it's like, all right, if I don't like do something, get away for a few days, it's like my brain's actually going to explode. So it's you just push it to the absolute hard limit, and then you back away until you can breathe just enough, and then you dive back in.
I am the same exact way. And actually, it's funny you said that because I think the last tattoo I took a picture of and sent Kevin was a mix between one I wanted and an ABR tattoo, because you sent me your ABR tattoo back as well, and mine's like a rendition of the candle from the front of Messengers, and it's a candle being burned at both ends.
Yeah.
So, like, yeah. I say I would show it off, but the beard's coming in pretty nice. You can't really see any of my face tattoos on my jawline.
Yeah, you're getting ready for winter. You got to grow it out.
Yeah. No, I had a really good one right before I got hurt. And then, of course, like, they took so shitty care of you in the hospital, man. Like, not being able to shower by yourself and stuff. Upkeeping hair and a beard was pretty bad. So I was like, man, I gotta like shave it all off and start over.
Did your tattoos get ruined post-op?
No, man. Dude, I'll have to send you a picture. It's wild. So I will say, like, Scott Gelman, the surgeon we were talking about earlier, he came to me like when all the medicine and stuff wore off on the surgery. He was like, hey man, I tried really, really hard to line these up as perfectly as possible. They got staples in them, but they're pretty close. And I was like, bro, like, you could have cut them off and threw them in the trash. I don't give a fuck as long as I can walk again. Like, that was the last of my worries. But he was a really cool guy, and he tried really hard. And it's actually, so there's a gorilla face on my right kneecap and a leopard on my left, and they both just have giant scars running through the middle of their forehead. So it's kind of cool.
Yeah, I mean, it's like walking probably the first priority after surgery.
Yeah.
It was same deal. Like I had a hernia surgery a few years ago, whole stomach, whole front tattooed basically. And the guy's like, I tried super hard to line everything up. It's like, I don't care.
Like, yeah.
Like,
that's like the least of the problems.
My guts back inside my body. That's what I care about here.
Yeah. And I told him, I was like, man, if it was messed up, like, I was just going to get a blackout anyway. Like, I was going to go to my buddy Phil and be like, yo, biggest blacked out traditional rose to cover up all the scarring, and we're good to go.
Like, this wouldn't be the first blast over on my body.
Yeah. So I was like totally not even worried about it.
Well, did you finish your belly tattoo?
Yeah, that's all done. It's all good. It's all fixed. Nice. Also have a gorilla head. It's an OG Live Large design on my right knee. So
nice.
Gorilla right knee bros, I guess. But
yeah. I actually have one of my favorite tattoos. My first nationals I ever went to, Eric that owns Kevin, you know Eric that owns that was part owner of Stronghouse, who runs Downtown Tattoo in Las Vegas. He tattooed a gorilla on the side of it was my first neck tattoo in Vegas. Tattooed a gorilla on my neck with a SHP like bandana tied to it. And that was my first nationals and also my first bomb out. So I told him instead of the gorilla, he's like, man, this gorilla's gonna be sweet. I was like, man, just tattoo a flaming trash can on it instead, because I fucking suck. I was so butthurt that I like tore my VMO like the second squat in, DQ'd on deadlifts for blood. Like, it was terrible, man.
He gave us matching tattoos at the Arnold a few years ago.
Yep.
Did he?
Yeah.
Everyone that was at the COVID Arnold, we all got little Corona bottles with
shit. That's awesome.
Crossbones for Arnold 2020.
That's really cool.
And, so he did,
you said Eric did that?
Yeah, I think he did like 20 people literally like at the gym that we did like the fake Arnold at. So it was
yeah, that's right. You did do the fake Arnold.
But as the day went on, he just got drunker, and like I think you ended up going first because you're like, yeah, I want to get this over with.
I know how that goes.
I was sitting in a room. It was like me, Scott Miller, Joe Sullivan, Tanner, like basically a bunch of the dudes.
Yeah, I think literally it was probably like 10 to 12 people ended up all getting them, but it was It was a very just funny little thing. He drew them all different, so they're literally all unique as well. Everyone has
That's really cool.
their own little, Corona bottle with skull and crossbones for the fake Corona Arnold. Because that was Arnold that got canceled like 2 days before.
Yeah, I remember that.
Because that was the first major event to get canceled for COVID. And
Yeah, because
like,
what gym was that? Did you guys move it to?
Pinnacle, yeah.
That's right. Yeah.
That was when Joe was co-owner and before
Yeah, that's right.
and all that fun stuff. But yeah,
Right.
worked out really well at the time. So it was,
Yeah.
it was the most fun Arnold ever, probably.
But those guys fucked because all their stuff got stuck.
Yeah, all strong house shipped everything. So yeah, all their stuff was stuck in the convention center, in like the storage.
While it was locked down.
Like, well, they're like, oh, cool. So you can't touch it unless you're like union and all sorts of crazy like shipping stuff. They're like, yo, can we just like cut this pallet open and take our shit? Like we'll figure it out. And they're like, nope, can't do it. Union, gotta all sorts of like crazy regulations and all sorts of weird rules. You're in like the back zone of the convention center with shipping and stuff. So it was a big nightmare, but luckily for us, we drive everything down every year, so it works.
Are you guys doing WPO? I know that's coming up really soon.
No, that's what I'm going to booth at the WPO. So WPO is weird.
Yeah,
I don't know if I like the vibes, but even though, because I mean, it's the only real geared lifter we have on the team. I guess you now, but Heidi, and I don't think she's doing WPO this year.
Really?
Yeah,
okay, yeah. I'll say I was trying to think, but I knew for some of the sweat girls and stuff, like I was like trying to think of who else was in gear.
Yeah, I mean Heidi's the only one on the team. So I mean obviously Dan's done his one,
right?
Sort of multiplying,
sort of.
And then where I think he just wore briefs only. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
Like 1,200 in briefs only or something. I don't know what the hell he did.
Well, hopefully I won't embarrass the team, and I'll have something to bring to the table.
Well, the biggest thing is to come out injury free.
Yeah,
that would be pretty clutch.
Nice
I would enjoy that very much.
Push the popping sounds a little bit further back in your brain, because every rep it gets further and further back, right? Every successful squat it gets you get that little bit more confidence. Everything
it's a good way to think about it.
Yeah.
Did you ever watch the video when it happened?
Yeah, I had the video. I got rid of it. I did rewatch it multiple times.
Yeah. It's
the pop is super audible. Like you could definitely hear it. It was disgusting. But I went to shock like right away.
Yeah.
Like because my buddy Tim Putman, he's like laying on the floor like against the wall like this. I'm in his lap and he's cradling me like a child, waiting for me to freak out and like go into like convulsions and stuff. But I just went right into shock and couldn't feel anything. So I was like, hey guys, what's up? Like I was super chill. Like we were laughing and joking when the EMTs got there. I was like smiling in all the pictures. But like later that night when it wore off, like the adrenaline and stuff, then it got really ugly really quick. So I was fun times at risk for my second time with compartment syndrome. So if anyone listening doesn't know what that is, it's where there's so much internal damage and blood tissue that swells out. It pushes against the skin and makes it super tight and then does the opposite. So instead of explodes, it now implodes and starts crushing everything. It's how they amputate stuff. So good times. Yeah. Good times.
Well, you're
second time they've told me like, dude, you're not doing so hot. I'm like, yeah.
It's like, so that's like your problem to fix. So can you?
Yeah, because the only way to stop it is they catch it and they like literally laterally slice you and like drain all the blood.
Yeah.
So.
Well, whatever. You're walking again. You're
whatever, man.
You're good to go.
Could be very much worse. So I'm just thankful, dude. I'm just happy to even compete again.
Yeah, there's an endless number of kind of like what if things I'm sure you can think back on and like, well, if it went this way, that would have been real bad. It's like, yeah, well, why are you wasting energy worrying about what could have happened? Because it did
exactly. Yeah.
All right. Well, how far out's your meet?
I have a push pull this weekend in single ply.
All right.
For openers only. I'm going out there. Yeah, I was programmed to do openers.
So there's training day.
Yeah. This weekend anyway. And take my last warm-up squat. So I'm going to take that Sunday and do my bench and my deadlift on Saturday. And it's with a bunch of really good guys that got me into, like, kind of facilitated me moving more into multi, and were super supportive of me coming from a raw background. Like, had some really great people help me out a lot. shout out to Ralph and everybody, Ralph and Jules and Roman, everybody at Death Wish that I'm going to be seeing this weekend. Awesome group of people, man. Could not say more positive things about them in that atmosphere. So they're running an RPS meetup there. Had some cool prizes. I'd like to win something to hang on the cave wall back here just from Death Wish. So I want to go support them and do a booth with Jimmy Kolb and Anderson and just, be with everybody. And then the weekend after is the one at Exile in Baltimore, which is Micah's meet, the WRPF Freaks Come Out at Night, which is a American Pro qualifier.
Cool.
So I'm trying to do that and actually do pro this year instead of just not coach. Last year I went still and just hobbled around and coached and handled everybody all day. But I'd like to actually share the platform with some of my close friends at pro this year. So I'm planning on doing pro too.
All right, well, that won't be too bad. That's still, pretty close. Being able to do pro day at a, big meet like that, not that far off from, blowing your legs almost completely off your body.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. So,
yeah.
Well, good luck.
Yeah, man. I was hoping Micah would get somebody to take his spot so that way he could compete with us and we can be on the same platform together and be the only two geared guys at the pro together, because he just had a really good outing at Fighter Quit Nationals, man. He, what was it, like 871 in single ply at like 198, man. He crushed that.
Didn't you guys have a similar injury story too?
We do. I think his is same insertion point. Mm-hmm. Like we all have matching scars. But I think his were both knees, but more than once. So I think it was both knees like twice. So he's been through some shit. So of course, like we talked a lot through my injury, and he shared a pretty good perspective on that for me, especially watching him, used to be an all-time world record holder for equips, blowing out both his knees, sponsors dropping him, and then fucking coming back and killing it. So
yeah, you guys both have really good comeback stories for sure.
Yeah, and I talked to Emery Mullen a lot too, because he had the same exact injury as me.
He lost a lot of weight too.
Yeah, he did. He's
like shredded now.
And who's the guy? I don't know him personally. We've talked maybe once or twice on Instagram. Trains with Andy and Hack.
Oh, the big ginger dude.
Yeah. He blew out both his quads too.
Yeah,
he posted a video of it the other day. I was like not ready when that video flashed through. I was like, oh shit. Like it was a little too close to home for me.
I'm out on any injury video at all.
Yeah.
I've never seen Heidi's arm break bench.
Oh yeah, the arm one, dude. That one's nasty. Yeah.
I don't need to see it. It's okay.
I've seen it at least twice, and I'm like, nope, I'm good, man.
I watched Faces of Death as a child. That's the end of needing to see those things that I need to see.
Yeah.
the Mark Miller one was the one that ruined it for me.
The Mark Miller one, I was there in person. So.
Which one was that?
Same deal. Both knees blew them both off. Yeah.
Oh God, dude. The knees, man.
Both quads, same thing. Just completely to the ground. And I watched that one happen, so that was not cool. But
yeah. Wouldn't wish that on my closest enemy, man. It's unbearable.
Whatever. Now you get to coach the next person, that does it, back to health.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you could throw a positive spin on that way. Like,
you have to, right?
I've had a couple people with not like similar injuries, but ones like ankles or singular knees and stuff, and they've told me like watching you like go through that and then come back, they're like, I know we don't know each other, I know we don't talk every day or anything, but like just watching you has like really changed my mindset on like what you can do when you really want to come back from something. So I mean that's still really cool to hear for me. Some of the coolest things though, when I was still working out in the wheelchair, I actually had a world record paraplegic bencher reach out to me, and he was like, hey man, if you need help figuring out some stuff in your wheelchair, let me know, like I'm always in one. And it was just like the coolest guy ever, and dude, that humbled me so much. Like I thought that was the coolest shit ever. Super nice guy, held like 3 or 4 world records, like seat belted down to the bench and everything, man. He was a boss.
I might have met one of those guys at Doug and Candy's meet in Michigan.
Yeah,
he competes like
he might be from up in that area, to be honest with you.
He competes internationally. He was like trying to go to Russia or something.
Yeah, it might be that guy. I'll have to double check and look.
Yeah, benching 500 or 600 pounds.
Yeah, that shit was nuts. So
what advice do you give to the novice lifters, or those up and coming in the sport right now, because you've given so much back to the sport?
Just some words of advice. I would say, man, like always pay attention to like who's, like train the way you're gonna train, but pay attention to who's watching you, man. Because like it's so humbling to hear stuff from people like, taking photos with people for their first meet, or like, hey man, do you remember when you were 181? Like we were in the same flight like 3 years ago together. Like it's crazy the people that you meet or that come back into your life that you've shared a platform with. It's just like it's really humbling to know that, like you have that kind of impact on people, and that you should always be aware of like who's watching you, man. It's wild, man. Like I'm definitely not like, I mean, many people I guess now would consider me like a social media guy, but like honestly, if I didn't have like sponsors and stuff, like I probably wouldn't do social media. But it's changed my mindset because it's a lot of people like, hey man, I look forward to seeing your stuff since I got injured. Like, hey, I really like the way you train. Like, how can I get more into it? How can I give back to the sport? Like, just simple stuff being asked. It just kind of resonates with you with how much you're doing, but you don't realize you're doing. So, like, just be aware of who you're impacting, man. Don't be a shithead. It's real easy. Don't be a shithead.
All right, now in a recurring final check-in, are you team fuck them kids or don't fuck them kids?
Ooh,
We had to clarify with TD because he thought we were talking about the students at his school. So in regards
the Dan Bell fuck them kids. Are you?
Yeah. I'm pro Dan Bell fuck them kids, but I'm not pro fuck them kids in general. So
so you're out on the think they're owed the world kind of like new guys popping up.
Oh yeah, fuck those guys. Yeah, I hate those guys.
So
it's funny because when I'm really close friends with like CT Whitney and stuff that owns Power Build now. And I admire the shit out of him. Another guy who's around here that gives a lot back to the sport and is a really good dude. Shout out to him. But of course, when I go up there, like his gym is incredibly nice. I love going there. It's like my home away from home besides Death Wish. And when you go, of course, it's all kids with like, I love it because I've seen the Halloween memes coming out with like the powerlifting starter packs with like the curly French fry hair and like the dangly earring and shit and the SPD everything, and that's like all the kids at his gym. And so like the first couple times I was in there back from injury, like in a suit, they're like, "Whoa, man! Like, what kind of singlet is that?" I'm like, "One that you don't want to fucking be in, like if you like your nipples." And they're like, "What?" And like they could see me like hanging from the monolift trying to get my single ply suits on and shit. Like, what the fuck is this guy doing? And I used to have like an old katana with like a Velcro back, and it was bright fucking red. So I just looked like a tight bottle of ketchup, like walking around the middle of Power Build. And these 16-year-old kids would be like, "Who the fuck is this guy? What is he wearing?" Because like none of them knew what Equipped was. It's awesome, man. But yeah, I hope those kids hear this and they're like, "Oh, that's who that guy is." But yeah, keep an open mind, because if you don't, you're one of those fuck those kids. So.
But it seems like you've also kind of made a turnaround, because you used to go on these Instagram rants not too long ago where it was very angry and you were a lot of people on their bullshit and things you hated and you didn't like.
Yeah. I'd say now that I work a little more for like the USPA and the foundation and stuff, like I try to keep a little bit of that more in the wraps. I've been on a couple quick ones here lately, the last couple week or two, just because there's been a lot of shit talk on, me coming back, just because people are like, "Oh, he's only strong because he's in gear," or like the opposite multiply guys that I'm new to are like, "Oh, well, he doesn't do this traditionally like a multiply squatter would." Like, fuck that guy. So like catching hate from both ends, but I mean, it's gonna fucking be what it's gonna be, and that's why I'm super excited in 2 weeks. So when that total posts, I'm ready to hurt some feelings. So
all right, now run through everything. It's a drop everything you need to drop, plug everything you need to plug.
Yeah, absolutely, man. For sure, plug you guys, man.
Not
Nick,
us.
we don't get to talk as much as
podcast. This
I know, but still, man, still, you guys have been fucking awesome to me. Nick, I wish we got to talk a little more, but then again, I admire you. You're a man just like me, dude. You're fucking busy and you keep it that way. So I mean, literally like talking to myself. So it's like, what can you say about that? Burn that shit at both ends. It's the way to go. And Kevin, dude, honestly, like you already know how I feel about you, man. We relate to each other as teachers. Like, you fucking taking care of me through this experience. You take care of my wife like she's part of the team. Like, I'm very thankful to be part of Live Large, man.
You guys
So
are good people.
So I can't stress that enough, man. And thank you very much for the gift cards for last meet for the uninvitational. That was some wild ass shit. That was an awesome meet. So
Hell yeah.
I'm about to post some of those. We just got pictures back of me and all the cowboys and microphones and shit. So it's a pretty solid meet, and also a good segue to post costume pictures for leading into the Bear Cave After Dark. So if you like shirtless cowboys, we got some good shit coming for you.
Well, hey, be careful with that. I know we're trying to wrap it up here, but I used to train with this guy years ago, my buddy Frankie, and there was one day we were lifting, and he convinced me to deadlift with my shirt off. I was like, fuck it. Because I was leaner. He's like, dude, you're traps. And he was the type guy. I fucking deadlift. There's a picture of me deadlifting like 6-something with chains, and post my Instagram. If you scroll all the way back to my Instagram, it's like one of the first couple pictures.
Okay.
One of my best friends who lives in Austin hit me up one night. I'm botching the story slightly, but anyway, that picture went on a poster that was advertising like some club, gay bar party, and my picture was the backdrop for this fucking flyer.
No shit.
Hanging in some dude's fucking house, and I'm like, what? Why is this here?
Kevin's best friend from Austin is a large gay fella as well, so he's in the loop on all that stuff.
That's amazing. That's an awesome story, though, man. You're hanging in someone's house.
Yeah, he would be a sniffers guy.
Yeah, well, he told me, he's like, I could make a shit ton of money selling my underwear and socks, but that's not happening.
Dude, look, next Live Large drop, we're gonna bond together. We're not even gonna pay out of pocket for new shirts, dude. We're gonna raise all the money with our underwear and socks. Non-stop profit for this next drop for Live Large.
Live Large, Zone Smelling Salt, Ball Sweat collab 2020.
Dude, yes, that's the one. Speaking of that, of dropping people who are awesome, Liam, everyone at Zone, man, and Serious Steel, Justin, all you guys from Roanoke, VA, thank you guys so much for helping me out. They've been part of the foundation for about 3 years now, helping me with salts, distributing stuff. Been nonstop fucking awesome. Dropping the new salts this Friday online and in person at Death Wish. Barefoot, Kabuki, dude. Duffin, Kyle, Brandon, you guys are fucking the men. Nonstop help me out with fucking from walking to what I'm doing now. So I can't. Kabuki sponsorship was like the best shit that ever happened to me. So thank you guys so much for giving me the tools to fucking get better and being as knowledgeable as you all are and sharing that with me. Very thankful for that. Of course, my wife's fucking awesome. I don't really gotta say that much. Fortress Athletics, man. Those women are my heart. Very blessed to be a man surrounded by women that fucking have my back and would do anything for me and me for them. So, men, if you're listening to this, man, you ain't shit without strong women behind you. So fucking buck up and get behind that shit. Also, speaking of that, we're dropping a main event shirt. So for all those of you who do support that side of powerlifting, and you should, because you're not, you're a fuckhead. That's coming out real soon for Leah Reichman and Amber. So the main event project. So I don't know. I already shouted out Fate. I'm sure there's someone missing, but a lot of people.
Grammys right now.
Yeah, I know. And then
someone's got to yank you off the stage.
I know, man. So get me out of here, guys. I appreciate being on here. Thank you.
Hey, we loved having you, dude.
Awesome. Talk to you soon, Travis.
Later, guys.
See you, man.